The purpose of this video is to review the topic of sexual harassment. At any time, you're welcome to pause the video so you could take time to read the descriptive content found in each of the slides. Sexual harassment is a form of sex discrimination. It's a violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. There are two types of sexual harassment: quid pro quo or a hostile environment. The California Education Code defines sexual harassment as follows. It means an unwelcome sexual advance, request for sexual favors, or other verbal or visual or physical conduct of a sexual nature made by someone from or in the work or educational setting under the following conditions. The conduct is explicitly or implicitly made as a term of condition of an individual's employment, academic status, or progress. Rejection of the conduct by the individual is used as the basis of employment or academic decisions affecting the individual. The conduct has the purpose or effect of having a negative impact upon the individual's work or academic performance, or creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work or educational environment. Submission to or rejection of the conduct by the individual is used as the basis for any decision affecting the individual regarding the benefits, services, any honor, program, or activities available through an educational institution. A quid pro quo sexual harassment is an unwelcome sexual advance. It's a request for a sexual favor or any verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature. Submission to the conduct is either made explicitly or implicitly as a term or condition of the individual's employment, a grade, or an evaluation. Submission to or rejection of such conduct by an individual is used as a basis for employment or grading decisions affecting such individual. A hostile environment is an unwelcome sexual advance, even though it may not necessarily be made verbally. It's a request for sexual favors, other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature, when such conduct has the purpose or effect of unreasonably interfering with an individual's work or learning performance. It creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work or educational environment. The factors that are used to determine if an environment is hostile includes the central inquiry. Did the conduct unreasonably interfere with an individual's work or learning performance? Did it create an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment or learning environment? Was the conduct made verbally or physically, or both? And how frequent was it repeated? Whether the conduct was hostile or offensive, whether the alleged harasser was a coworker, supervisor, instructor, classified employee, or administrator, although of course it could also be a student. It's also considered if there were others who joined in perpetrating the harassment, and whether the harassment was directed towards one person or more. No one factor controls the determination. An assessment is made based upon the totality of the circumstances. What is an unwelcome sexual conduct? The challenge conduct must be unwelcomed in the sense that the victim did not solicit it or incite it, and in the sense that the victim regards the conduct as an undesirable or offensive. This may differ when a student is involved. Although it may not be sexual harassment, some comments or gestures are totally inappropriate for an adult professional to make to students. The victim can be either a female or a male. The victim does not necessarily have to be of the opposite sex. The victim does not have to be the person harassed, but could be anyone affected by the offensive conduct. Who can be the harasser? Harasser may also be a male or female. He or she can be the victim's supervisor or an agent of employer, a supervisor in another area, a co-worker, another employee. In the case of schools, he or she can be an administrator, teacher, counselor, school psychologist, or other certificated employee, any classified, as well as a student possibly. The district and its supervisors and supervisory employees must take steps to prevent sexual harassment or promptly stop sexual harassment once it's been given notice that harassment is occurring. Methods of prevention include: one is the communication and awareness and annual review of the harassment policies to employees. This is what we're doing. Establishing and complying with the complaint investigations procedures, and conducting a thorough, prompt, and objective investigation. Any supervisor who observes or hears of an offensive conduct is on notice. They must immediately report to your supervisor or district of human resources. They must stop the offensive conduct, correct its effect on employees, and ensure that the offensive conduct does not occur again. There is a personal liability. District liability for sexual harassment is measured by different standards based upon the identity of the harasser and the victim. The district may be held liable for harassment between supervisor to employee or student, employee to employee or employee to student, vendor or members of the public to an employee or student, and harassers, including supervisory and non-supervisory personnel, may be held personally liable. May also be held personally liable for aiding and abetting harassment. There are three different types of harassment: verbal, physical, and visual. Under verbal, it could be name-calling, belittling, sexually explicit or degrading words used to describe an individual. It could be sexually explicit jokes or comments about an employee or student's anatomy, sexually oriented noises, remarks, questions about a person's sexual preferences, use of patronizing terms or remarks, verbal abuse, graphic verbal commentaries about their body. Physical harassment includes touching, pinching, patting, grabbing, brushing against or poking another employee's body. Hazing or initiation that involves a sexual component, requiring an employee or student to wear sexually suggestive clothing. And visual harassment displays could be a display of sexual pictures, writings, or objects, obscene letters or invitations, staring at an employee's or student's anatomy, leering at an employee or student, sexually oriented gestures, mooning an employee or student, or sending an employee or student unwanted love letters or notes or emails. During our session at our training, you will be asked in your groups to discuss the following situations. Do they constitute sexual harassment, and how? You will be asked to select a facilitator to initiate and monitor the discussion, and also a reporter who will report back to the group your group's discussion. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you at